Hold up, wait a minute. Let me put some Rizzle in it. Now, we've spoken on Mac Miller's life before, but it seems like we might have spoken too soon. Gone are the days of Frick Park Market, when there was nothing to Mac's story but a carefree teen rapper. There's still more going on, and now Mac's mama's getting involved in the situation. It's tragic that she has to, but at the same time, if she feels like her son's legacy isn't being respected, it's her place to do that. Mac Miller, as we all know, passed away back in September of 2018 as a result of using a cocktail of alcohol and a couple of other things we're not going to mention. This happened when he was only 26. It lives on in the hearts of a lot of rap fans as one of the most tragic deaths in the game, not just recently, but in the whole history of the industry. Now, there's a biography coming about his life up until that point, and there's a bit of an issue. It's unauthorized. Let's get into exactly what Mac's mom had to say about it and see if she has a good case on why they should pull it. Or if she's mad she has a book deal with someone else who isn't the author of the biography, Paul Cantor. And that's no disrespect, right? Like, there's just bound to be some differing opinions. As we get into it a little more, we'll start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. There are a few reasons that someone might be upset about this sort of thing. If it's not approved by the estate, the author can pretty much just write whatever they like, even if it's not accurate or it doesn't show the subject of the book in a great light. That being said, reviews ain't gonna be great in a situation like that, but sales might be. Karen Myers, who's the mother of late Mac Miller, real name Malcolm James McCormick, came out on Instagram to say that she didn't approve of it. To artists, management, and friends, there is a writer doing a Mac Miller biography that some of you may have been approached about or will be in. This book is not authorized, approved by Mac Miller's family or estate. We are not participating and prefer you don't either if you personally knew Malcolm. This makes sense to some degree, but as we'll see later, it seems like Cantor treated Mac's legacy with respect. From what he said about himself and the book, Mac's mom doesn't really have a reason to be talking like this. This sounds to us like Miller's mother seems to think that the book isn't going to be accurate. But not only that, she thinks it's a cash grab. It's purely there to capitalize on the tragic death of her son. She's also warning any of the friends, family, and acquaintances that might have known Mac to keep out of any interviews. Why should they though? I mean, we get that maybe it's not going the way she hopes it will, but maybe some people who were really close to Mac just want people to know how he really was in his everyday life. Maybe they want to inspire people who are going down a similar path. Mac was a legitimately inspiring person, and the more outlets that let people know why he was gone so soon, the better. On the topic of the book specifically, we have even newer information on how Karen felt about the book more recently. She made another post on Instagram on the 8th of May in 2021, saying basically what she'd already said about her opinion on the release of the book. It has come to the attention of the family and friends of Mac Miller that a new book called Most Dope, The Extraordinary Life of Mac Miller by Paul Cantor, has recently been made available for pre-order. The book is not authorized or endorsed by Malcolm's family and has been written by a writer who had no meaningful access to those that were closest to Malcolm, friends, family, and collaborators, etc. Not only is this, kind of fucking rude to say, but if Paul is to be trusted, it might be cap. As far as he's concerned with all the experience he has, some might end up feeling pretty down on themselves after hearing that statement. She did also point out a few things that she hadn't mentioned beforehand. He chose to proceed against our polite insistence that he not do disservice to Malcolm's legacy through writing a book without legitimate primary sources. We cannot help but feel the timing of it being made available for pre-order is meant to capitalize on the interest in Donna Claire Chessman's recently announced book, The Book of Mac, with the expectation that people will confuse this book for Donna's, which does have the support of the estate and includes extensive interviews with the people whom Malcolm held dear. Now, outside of some kind of shady marketing, there's not exactly anything wrong with this. Now, that's the real kicker, right? The book being released on the day before Mac's birthday isn't a coincidence, as she also mentions. Since there's a book that Cantor's biography is going to be competing with, it makes sense that she's annoyed, right? The Book of Mac sounds like not only is it sanctioned, but it's going to be an all-around better book because of that fact. Mac's friends actually had a stake in it, right? And I mean, while we respect that Donna Claire Chessman's book is actually sanctioned by the estate, it seems like maybe the only reason Karen authorized this one is because Mac's estate was promised a cut of the money from book sales. Ooh, we don't know yet on that front, but isn't that the way this kind of thing always goes? This isn't the first time Myers has shut down a project that was meant to shine more light on Mac's life. In June 2019, she shut down a documentary that a man named C.J. Wallace had been working on. He was understanding of her wishes. Instead of continuing the project, he came out and said, "We heard back from Christian Clancy and the estate, who said the family has requested we hold off on the project at this time. We immediately complied, as the last thing we want to do is negatively impact anyone involved. Quite the opposite." That's a respectable way to handle that kind of request from your family, regardless of if your intentions were good or not. Pretty much immediately after the family reached out, the document was ousted. The plans for the documentary were positive. Instead of really telling the story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, Wallace wanted to talk to people who were close to the late rapper and put everything together and tell an inspiring, heartfelt story. While it's on the shelf for now, it might not always be that way. It seems like a lot of fans and a lot of the people close to Mac really wanted something to come out of it. Wallace explained that one day we might actually get to see it, saying, "The outpouring of support for the doc and that it was us trying to make one was humbling. And in time, perhaps we will get to see it through. For now, we have hours and hours of incredible music, and that's always been more than enough." Now, just to interrupt the lore a little bit, we gotta wonder, why exactly she's shutting every attempt to commemorate or at least document a lot of his relationships with the people around him down? Why is it completely locked up to the Book of Mac and everyone else is just off limits? While the book might have been a little bit less of a loving tribute, the documentary sounded like it was really coming together. So why was it cut short? Does she have anything in the works? Like, is the whole incident just too raw for her? It really does seem like there could just be more going on, like, some sort of shady book deal. The author of Most Dope, The Extraordinary Life of Mac Miller, Paul Cantor, had a few words to say about the whole thing, actually. "I'm a journalist with nearly 20 years of experience, having been fair and honest in my reporting of the biggest celebrities to the people of the smallest corners in everyday life. My credibility is unimpeachable, and I don't take his family's claims lightly. It's unfortunate that they feel this way. They were made aware of the book at its inception with the utmost best intentions, and they chose not to participate, which I respected. This book was approached with love and care, and Miller's friends and other people close to him, as well as numerous people in the music industry, did willingly speak to me. I sat through countless hours of long interviews, many of them emotional and revealing." Now, maybe we're being a little rude here, but it only makes sense that Cantor will want to defend his work, right? I mean, even though the estate of the family doesn't recognize it, it doesn't mean it's not valid. The people who talked to him about Mac seem to think he really had good intentions in writing this book. So, maybe he did. If what he says is true, Karen is wrong, like most Karens are, about what's actually going to be in the book. It could be truly insightful. It could contain words from people who were close to Mac, both in a personal and professional sense. Words that aren't going to appear in interviews seen in the other books. I mean, why would you be so concerned about this whole book deal thing? It seems like the most important thing here is bringing more attention to Mac and his legacy, instead of pretending like one take on it is more valid than the other. If you want a complete picture, we can't just look at pieces of it, right? I mean, from Blue Slide Park to the sound he would mature into on Swimming, he was a multifaceted person. So, did Karen find the credentials of one of the authors more impressive than the others, or I don't know, man, or was she just given a bigger cut of the book sales to authorize the Book of Mac over the Most Dope? What do you guys think, man? I mean, is there any reason that Cantor shouldn't be allowed to publish his book? Should there be more respect for the opinion of Karen than Cantor showed by dismissing her opinion on the book? Are you a huge Mac Miller stan who's just gonna read both books anyway? Also, keep in mind that there's no judgment here, right? I mean, we're not trying to say that anyone's acting right or anyone else isn't. It's just that, there seems to be some money tangled up in the whole thing. And, it's not getting talked about in any way that it should. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Get that like button a click and subscribe for more rap news. And hey, as always, keep it Rizzle.